Sorry.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Welch.
Here.
Morgan.
Here.
Stan Anderson.
Here.
Houston.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Hawk.
Here.
Mike Anderson.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Like to stand and say the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any order of business for emergencies? Seeing none. Do we have attendance on Zoom?
Not yet, but we will be having the engineer attending probably around 7 o'clock. He thought would work for him.
Okay. And do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Okay, there's been a motion, a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? This is moved. Is there a second? Second. Kelly seconded. All, any further discussion? All in-
Yes, sorry. I highlighted DC Scott bill that's on the bill list. And maybe I will let Garrett explain that a little in detail. I'm just not sure if that should be the city's bill or one of the property owners' bill.
Yeah, we tried to find the property pins for the Masonic Lodge, on the corner there of, what is it, Second and Creighton. In between Norman Eisenbrown, Norman Marcia Eisenbrowns, and we couldn't find anything. And so I talked to Joel Stevens, and we just kind of decided we should get them found because there's been some discrepancy on where the line is. I told him we probably have to pay for it. I didn't know how it works, so they did get them found. And
Okay, so DC Scott was down here, found pin. Did he do anything else while he was in town by chance?
yes, he had been in town, working, I think, out of
Perfect.
outside of town.
Yeah. Okay, he's got a lot of work down here, so I was hoping he did a little bit of it. Okay, so with that clarification then, do I have an approval for the consent agenda then? Did I have a motion already by chance? And
Yes.
okay, there was a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that moves us on to number 8, and we have on our visitor list, Vicki James. Would you like to talk to us about parking in the front of the Harley store?
Yes. It's rough in front of the store because we'll get motorhomes that'll park there and block out the whole street. We'll get cars there and there's nowhere for the bikes to park. The bikes end up parking on the sidewalk, which isn't real cool. And I've got some pictures here. But we'd really like the parking. I think it'd be an asset to everybody.
So you would like to request to reserve that area for bike parking only?
Yeah.
And for the whole summer, or are we talking about wall crawl, or what are your thoughts there?
Well, if it's marked, it's gonna be kind of marked. So it would be a permanent marking, wouldn't it? I mean,
Well, yeah, if we did it with paint, this has come up before to have motorcycle parking in front of the Harley shop, and we've turned it down. And I think that was the right thing to do.
why?
Because I think that our parking should be open to all the public. I don't think we should designate certain areas of motorcycle. We have a lot of parking in Wall. It's really important. What you're talking about is a city street with parallel parking, and there isn't that much room. Vicki, has there been a big problem with motorhomes parking in front of your store.
And it covers up our whole storefront. And then the bikes have nowhere to park.
Well, and then one thing you said is maybe a sign,
Correct.
on no motorhome parking,
Or-
something like that, or RV. I can see where that'd be a problem.
Okay, on the side of the street, on the side of the store, there is a sign that says no trucks, right turn. And they do that constantly. They've wiped out the sidewalk, they've hit the light post, they've hit vehicles. And they're gonna come around that corner and wipe out a bunch of bikes, and then that's not gonna be good. You know what I'm talking about? That sign that says no trucks, right turn.
When you're coming up.
I'd have to drive it, I take your word for it.
Well, with as much, I mean, the revenue from the store is 1.8 last year. And that's not enough for us to at least get some parking in front of the store.
Well, all the downtown parking, is available to you, plus all the, city parking lots and private parking lots. Motorcycles park all over the wall. And, I don't, that's parallel parking. I don't think we should designate that for motorcycles.
Can we do it just for like rally?
Well, like you said, it would be permanent and.
Oh, I have
you know,
chalk, I'll do it.
I don't think permanent is a thing we wanna do because you're not open year round. You don't wanna have parking that's blocked off in front of a business that isn't
Oh,
open.
it's open year round now.
But I mean, during the winter months, you're not gonna have motorcycles parking there. So I think if we can come up with some temporary signs for during rally. Or something for
Motorcycles only.
How would that be, Rick? Yeah, if we just did it during rally.
But I do, campers park on that, and they park on them homeowners.
I think the better way to go is to put up signs that no motorhome parking. I mean, because the motorcycles, I mean, they park, they have access to all the parking in Wall, and they park all over.
Well, I agree with the RV parking, in my opinion. There's lots of bigger spaces for them to be. So that might be something that you could put for a permanent marking. But seriously, I think the Walk Crawl Committee is gonna come back and visit with us about trying to make bikers feel special during the wall crawl. We've done that before. I don't know what their configuration is gonna be this year. But I am part of that committee and I do think that that's gonna happen, so.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, so for rally, that might be a situation. So would you be comfortable with getting a no RV parking, or Derek, can you give us a suggestion?
Do you remember didn't we kind of cone that off a few years ago? Kind of so only motorcycles could really. During the rally and the wall.
We did over the walk road 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I remember I put those signs up.
But I was thinking we put like those candlesticks up, so. So, you know.
That would be wonderful.
So those little vehicles couldn't really pull in there.
Right,
and
just
then
the
take them.
bikers could squeeze through.
Yeah, so I
Okay,
was thinking we did that once.
but are you okay, Garrett, with putting, no RV parking or whatever? So that they don't cover the front of the store year round, a
Sure.
permanent marking,
Yeah,
that you
we'd
would
have
be
to
all right
find
with
a-
that?
Yeah, a good spots.
Okay. What do you think about that, Vicki?
I like that.
Okay,
Mhm.
so no RVs, and then, but Wall Crawl will come back and visit, and we'll try to make those bikers feel welcome and special when they come there week for their run.
Okay, now, are we gonna put cones up or markers for some time? Or is that just gonna be for wall crawl?
I think he was talking about Wall Crawl.
We did it for a walk around and the rally.
And the rally,
And the rally?
yeah.
Okay,
Wall
then,
Crawl
yeah,
is the first weekend of
Yeah.
the
Right,
rally.
I just wanted.
Is that
to
right,
extend all the way through.
Kelsey?
That's correct.
Okay,
I thought we did it all week during the rally. So I don't know why you would do that again.
okay,
I could do that, that'd be fine.
okay. All right,
Thanks.
well, you're so welcome. Thank you for coming to visit with us. We appreciate that. Okay, so then Patrick,
Everybody, Patrick Champa, I'm the acting district ranger for the Forest Service down the street. Everyone knows our visitor center burst a pipe in late February. We spilled 78,000 gallons of water into the street. So our plan, I mean, we've been dealing with contractors and this, that, and the other, trying to get the water out and the building dried out. So now our plan is how do we provide services to all the public that want to visit the grasslands or Badlands National Park. So we have a proposal for a 10x44 travel trailer to be parked out front of our building. It'd be facing north-south and it'd be parked in our parking areas that take up about 5 or 6 sites. It'd be well signed, and we direct all our visitors that would normally go into the visitor center to this trailer. That's the proposal. I thought it would be parked out here already, to be honest with you, but apparently they can't get anyone to transport the trailer here. So we're 2 weeks at the very earliest. We started this process back in mid-March, probably.
so where would your visitors park then as you,
Yeah, they would have to park to the north of our visitor center and then in all our other spots.
okay, so it'd be parallel on the north side, like the clinic side, is that what you're saying?
That's where they would park. It would parallel the sidewalk in front of our visitor center and district office.
But it's not gonna take up that whole indention part, it'll
No,
just be a
absolutely.
portion of it, right?
Correct.
So council, what are your feelings? Is this?
That'd be for the whole summer or just?
So, yeah, we actually have it, you have to pay for a year and then we have to sign on to a second year before they'll even bring it for the first. So we're really looking at a 2-year purchase. Whether we need it that long is a different story. I can tell you what we're up against with the visitors center is we'd be lucky to have it open next year sometime, next summer sometime. So likely would need it 2 full summers.
Patrick, just
Yeah.
lucky to have it open just because of the magnitude of the construction project.
Yeah, I mean, we got a preliminary estimate just to, we got to redo all the HVAC. It flooded the crawl space 3 feet deep. And we're talking like $1 to $2 million just to get it like habitable, I would say. Right now, like against the wall, we've got our sheetrock and insulation cut around the whole perimeter. Just trying to dry out the building. We have dehumidifiers running and fans blowing. It's dry, but then we have all these contractors we need to have lined up to do the work.
Will it be sitting there through the winter months, or will you park it elsewhere, or are you open through the winter months?
It would be sitting there and likely wouldn't be open. We could make adjustments so it would be open. But yeah, likely, around November 1, we close the visitor center, so I'd expect that timetable to be the same.
And when would it open back up then?
Usually early to mid-April, thereabouts, as soon as we can really get our first seasonal employee on board.
Okay, what are your thoughts, council?
I'll move to approve the request. I think it's important that they have something there for the people to see.
Second. Okay, motion has been made to approve the request. Kelly seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
You're very welcome, Patrick. Oh, don't you want to wait and hear our superintendent talk about our good school?
So I am the boss, but I'm just the detailed district ranger. In 1 month, I actually go back to my position.
Yes, I heard that.
So if I hear too much good, I might stay. Thank you.
Okay, so Badlands Chamber talking about cross country.
Yes, I just have one quick request to make in regards to the concert we're having out here on July 1st. Suggestion we had was to have some sort of concessions. And so we don't want to compete with our local businesses who offer such wonderful food, but one of our local school events, our school groups has offered, and is wanting to host a concession stand, small concession stand during that event. So we're hoping local school event will also help bring people to concert.
What's the date of that? That's
July 1st from 6:30 to 9:30.
just during that time frame.
And they have like pop it.
I'm assuming it would be pretty similar to what they have at the school.
Yeah.
So they're normal.
Well, and they would obviously use that for probably uniforms or traveling or something.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if it's going towards a specific project, it's just next year,
Yeah.
things. Like always, yeah.
Okay, so what's our thought? I think that's a good thing. It's getting the good kids to come and get involved. Thank you.
Second.
Okay, yes, it's been moved and seconded to allow the cross-country team, who I think they just kicked off their banking account at school. That's a new group. So is there any further discussion? Okay, all those say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kelsey, for bringing that to us. Okay. So that brings us to number 9 on the agenda, and we do have a dog complaint tonight that we need to address. Carolyn, do you have a suggestion how we
Well,
start
I
on this?
included the complaint that was brought to my office, and I also included in your packet the letter that was drafted. And also some pictures. I just didn't feel that this, well, as of now, we don't really have the new resolution in place as far as allowing me just to proceed with letters. So I felt like the council needed to kind of take action or a recommendation for how to address this issue, I guess.
Okay, so we have a complaint. We know that there's been a letter written, and is there anyone that would like to address this complaint?
Okay, this is my dogs and my daughter. It happened like around June 8th that week or whatever. Libby and I and Peg were out cleaning the yard. Libby did not have the dogs on a leash. They went over to the neighbor guys. Not even into the yard. As you can see, it's right off from the curb. Libby come back, my oldest daughter, and she was crying hysterically. He chewed on her so bad. She doesn't cry easily. Chewed on her so bad. And as you can see from the pictures, it was a camera. It was not even a phone. So he turned his dog out on the deck as my daughters are out there. Turned his dog out on the deck. His dog barked, is what the girl said, and their dogs ran over there. And he took pictures with a camera, not a phone or anything. So, which my girls have complained about him several times about taking pictures of them and stuff as they're roping their rope and dummy and stuff in the yard. I've never said anything. I thought it was just whatever, you know, he kind of an old country guy. So I did go over there and I rang the doorbell. I went over there and I asked him what the problem was. And he began screaming at me to get off his property. And I said, well, hold on. We live in a small neighborhood. We're neighbors. Like, what's the problem? He's come out of the house screaming, trying to push me off the deck and saying he's gonna call the cops. So did I get mad? Yes, I did get mad. But I got off his property and I went back. That was it. I did get mad at my daughters for not having the dogs on leashes. And the letter says another complaint. Well, the last complaint that I came here for, we realized was not actually my dogs anyway. So I don't think that that should be in the letter as another complaint, because we did get that solved, that it wasn't my dogs last time. Like I said, I mean, they were over there for, I'm gonna say 10 seconds off right on the curb, as you can see. And I really think it's really weird that some old guy is taking pictures of my minor daughters with a regular camera anyway. I mean, it's almost kind of like he set them up for failure, which I mean, I can't prove that or anything, but it is kind of weird. So I do apologize for my dogs being over there. I do have leashes for them outside. They go out into the country, and so I do apologize for that. I can't say that it wasn't them, because it obviously was, but I guess how it was handled, I think was, and Libby was crying. I mean, I don't think that was really necessary either. She's a young girl.
Okay, so a question I had, it indicated that, well, it's unfortunate there was foul language involved at any time, so that's unfortunate. And hopefully we can make it a adjustment there, but the dog, did your dog attack this other dog?
No, ma'am, no, because if you see from the pictures, you see where his dog's up on the deck,
Yes,
and I have two small dogs. I mean, they're like up here, one's a basset hound, and the other one's like a little basset hound cross. They didn't attack him, for one thing, I mean, they're too dumb to do anything like that anyway. I mean, so they did not attack him. And as you see from the pictures also, I mean, Libby was right over there getting them, it's not like they were jumping up on the deck or anything. And his dog does bark a lot, so I'm assuming, you know, the dog barked, my dogs ran across, it's just across the street right there, it's not very far.
do you ever kennel your dogs or anything like that, or just keep them on a leash when they're out?
And then I have a kennel in there when they're in my house, and then where I keep my horses at, we have an outdoor kennel that they stay at during the day if we're not at home.
So, council, what are your thoughts here? Or does anyone else have any other questions? Well,
And they're up to date on their shots and all.
Yep, and Carolyn has all that stuff.
You know, I guess my thing is everybody's dog gets loose. I got dogs and they've gotten loose. Mary knows that. But do you have any plan, like, just to ensure that I just don't want it to come down to
I know
you
not
having
having
to
them there.
remove your
I
dogs?
mean, my girls got in trouble. It was right after they got out of school. You know, and they have their tie leashes out there. They haven't been outside without their leashes. If they're outside, they're either walking them or tied up there. Like I said, I mean, I do apologize, but it is right across the street.
And that's my thing. I just don't want it to come to that
I know.
for anybody, you know, so.
Yeah, I don't either.
And then, you know, I mean, in the future, if they do go over there, maybe just you go over there and, you know, rather than the girls going over in that way, you know.
Mary,
You're aware of everything.
can I address this too?
yes, yes, you may. Identify yourself, would you please? I know.
Carol
but-
Breakout. I'm the old bugger that she's talking about across the street. This is an ongoing thing over the last year. Her dogs are always trespassing onto our neighbor's property. Yeah, and our property. I haven't made any complaint up till now. About a month ago, I'm sitting on the deck with my dog, with my back right up against it. There's a dog fight right now. Their dogs have reached through the bars on my deck. And my dog is biting at their dog and their dog is biting. It's a terrible dog fight going on. She says her dogs are always on. I've seen them on their
Leash 3 times.
3 times we've seen them on leash.
I don't know how often they go outside, so I guess I don't know how. many
This
times I've
is-
seen them on.
Okay, I've been attacked on our deck 3 times now, 4 times with her attacking me.
What do you mean by attack? You have been attacked.
Verbally attacked, I've got my deck, the steps are blocked off. She climbed over onto my trespass, onto my deck. I opened the door, she had fire coming out of her ears. She was so mad that I had upset her daughter. Now, her daughter's not a little daughter, she's been driving for a couple of years already. She was really mad. Oh, man, I couldn't believe how mad she was. And then she tells me, if I tell anybody about this, she's gonna get me. She's gonna get it. And that's, I can't put up with this anymore. This 3 times, they don't control their dogs out of the house. They're walking around while they're walking to their car. Now that it's summertime, we like to be out on the deck. If their dogs attack us out in the open, it's not gonna be good.
Yeah, we can't even be on our own.
We can't even be on our own property without her dogs. If they see us, they come. Our dog has never been on there. Ask the other neighbors, our dog don't ever bark unless barks to come into the house. When the dogs see each other, yeah, they bark. I was pulled down to the ground when I was a teenager. And a barking dog, a fighting dog scares me. I don't, and I'm sick of this.
Okay,
So that's what I got to say.
very understandable. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Mayor, I just add our protocol in ordinance 6.04065 for unlicensed animals running at large. Any person whose animal is running at large and has not been licensed with the city will be notified by the city with a letter of warning for first offense and 10 days to get the animal licensed. Failure to comply with the first offense will result in a second letter and a minimum fine of $100 and 5 days to comply. Failure to comply after the second offense will result with impoundment of the animal.
I guess that's what I was trying to caution is to make sure that Chris understands what that next step is gonna be, whether we're on letter 3 or letter 4. So, council, how do we want to address this today then?
So this be your second?
Is it a second or third?
Well, it's actually the fourth letter,
letter.
but the third letter was referenced as not being her dog that the complaint was actually on. So
Okay.
I guess I would consider it then the third letter.
The first two were within like 2 weeks of each other too.
Okay.
The first two,
How long ago was the previous last letter that actually applied?
in January, maybe? I want to say
Have that
January.
information.
Beginning of the year.
Because we have been working on how long we're doing until a reset for new offense stacking, but
Yeah, based on that, it would be considered a new offense.
Chris, so what can you do to stop this?
We'll have them on our leashes. And I mean, we do live in like, if you go down to Dorothy Street or Husted Street, I mean, there's kids and dogs and everybody, you know. I am sorry that I live in a place where people don't enjoy stuff like that. But I do my best. I don't try to be a terrible neighbor. I don't. I mean, we have our leashes. I have kids and dogs. Can I guarantee you 110% that nothing will ever happen? I can't do that because I can't control either one of the things. I can do it to my best ability and scold my girls and tell them they have to, or they're not gonna have their dogs in town anymore. And that's about all I can do. And I do really think that they know it is serious, because I did, when they seen the letter and stuff, like enough's enough, like. So I guess that's all I can promise you, is I did get after my girls, I will have them tied up, and when we're not home, they are out in the country where our horses are.
so under the ordinance, if this is considered a first offense, it would be $100 fine, second offense, and then impoundment would be third offense.
Stephanie, after impoundment, does the dog go away? Is he out of wall, he or she?
That applies a bit more to the vicious animal
Okay.
ordinance, but they both have the impoundment. If the vicious animal has the option to extinguish the animal. I think it's a little less clear when it's just running at large, whether the city can put them down once they're impounded, but I would have to make sure on that. For a vicious animal, yes.
But Carissa has the option of taking the dogs to the country.
Yeah, really, the only time they're at my house is when we're there, so they sleep with us, or like we were out cleaning the yard. And I do have 2 tie outs for them, so that is Libby's fault that she didn't have them on. And if they are not, if we're not home, I don't leave them there. Like, I don't go to work. If I'm at work, then they're at home or out at the horses, because I have a dog kennel out there.
So the way you said that, Stephanie, it almost sounds like just the vicious side would be impoundment and, you know, she would lose custody of the animal, but otherwise it sounds like it's almost just a fine situation, just a repetitive fine situation.
Repetitive fine, and then whatever it takes to get the dog out of impoundment, which is a lot of our hands.
Right.
But for a vicious animal, that's an option. And I can check into, you know, what all it would take to get the dog out of impoundment if it's not a vicious complaint.
What are we gonna define as vicious, if it attacks a person or if dogs fight each other just out of nature, I guess. I don't know unless it attacks dogs regularly that I would call a dog vicious. If it has a,
When I was standing up there, my dog was attacking their dog through the fence too, but it was also biting at me. And this ain't gonna happen again. Next time it's gonna be a different conclusion, because I'm not gonna be terrorized on my own deck, in my own yard.
I didn't threaten him, I will say that. But whatever, I would just as soon not have any more run-ins with you anyway. So I do try to get along. So, I mean, I guess, whatever, like I said, I apologize for it and I will do whatever it is that I need to do.
So Stephanie, do you feel we're at the $100 fine level at this point?
I don't, if we are planning on implementing the stacking protocol that we've been developing. If the last legitimate complaint that applied to her dogs was January, then we're at a start over. So I would think that this would be the first, the next one within the stacking period would be $100 fine. The third would be impoundment.
would be what?
Impoundment. And then I'll look into whether the dog could be put down for running.
That's assuming we move forward with our ordinance that we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Okay, so let's find a solution here.
Say if she can do this every 3 months, and then we have to start over again, this is ridiculous, because,
The dogs have had a history in the past
yeah, I
of
mean,
trespass, and now they've started to come onto our lot and attack us and our dog.
and we can see her dogs every day, and she'll stand there and watch her dogs go on the neighbor's lawn, and she'll just stand there and do nothing about it. And she won't clean up after her dogs going on the neighbor's lawn or anything. It's just been an ongoing thing. I mean, this has been going on for a year, and we haven't complained one time. We just sit there and say, well, maybe it'll get better. It'll get better, but it doesn't. It gets worse and it gets worse. And here we are. And now to start over again, this doesn't seem like the thing to do after all these complaints. It's time to do something.
A suggestion we might, with the work that we're doing to revise the ordinance with the stacking provision, we could maybe do a comprehensive up to, you know, it resets after the given period of time up to a total number, and then.
Because I can certainly see their point.
Right.
And that's why I'm asking you, Chris, what can you do to
Except
make
I
this?
will say,
done?
my dogs do not go to the bathroom on other people's yard. I mean, they don't even go to the bathroom on Peg's yard, because if they did, I cleaned it up. You know, I know that Lori and those guys had some problems with me, and I mean, I've done a good job with that. So I really don't know whose lawn they're going on or when they did it. And if they did, then I apologize. And no one has ever come to my door, knocked on the door and asked me to clean anything up, and I've said no. Because if I'm aware of anything, I will for sure make it right and clean it up. So, like I said, I do apologize if that was ever the case. Like I said, I can't tell you 100%, but as long as I was around, I don't think that was ever the
I've
case.
seen the dog, as she's standing by her van west of her house, I've seen the dog in her vision walk on Patty and relieve himself several times. not just once, several times. The dog walks back, they jump in the van and take off. She does not pick up after the dog.
I do wake up over there and Patty's my relative also.
Oh, and so that was their decision.
I think, you know, I think Chris should have the dogs under control and, at all times, on leash or tethered. They shouldn't be roaming free at all. And if they're loose again, I think we should move up the chain. There should be a $100 fine, and then the next one should be impoundment, because this has gone on, I agree, too long. And you gotta control your animals, and they should be on a leash, and, you know, some people, dogs, frighten them, but we have a leash law in law. You're supposed to have your dog on a leash.
Okay.
And that's from the house to the car and not just let them run from the house to the car.
No, they should be on a leash at all times, so they're in your control.
It's just trying, because our ordinance says that they're on your own property, they don't have to be on. That's what the ordinance says.
Yeah, it says that they have to be on a leash if they're off your property, so yeah.
Okay, with that correction.
Yeah, it's to allow any animal owned or controlled or harbored by any person to run at large on the streets, alleys, or property of any other person within the limits of the city of Wall.
So
Good point, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because, you know, if they're on their own property, they're not really bothering people.
Chris, I have, well, I don't have 3 dogs, but we have 3 dogs in the house. And they're runners. They wanna see people and run. But we don't even open the door without putting a leash on. We just have to. And they still get away, and it's,
Like I said, I told my girls, you
Yeah.
know, not making excuses, everyone's gotta understand my girls are country through and through. So we're living in town and we're trying real hard to adapt everything, and it's just one thing they have to learn.
yeah, and it's a learned
It is.
habit,
You know,
but we
when you
just,
grow up in town, you know, it's just something you do. When you grow
Yeah.
up in the country, they're not used to it.
yeah.
It is their last, I mean, they know it's their last chance, or the dogs are probably gonna have to go find a new home. So.
is that how we're gonna leave it? She's gonna control
We're working tonight on item 16. and
Right.
We need to get that done, and maybe we need to do some changing on our stacking a little bit. So also kind of brings to light more problems. But I guess I'd have to say it's probably, none of us here want to take anybody's dogs away. None of us do. To me, a dog's a family member, so I do. It's going to be a very hard decision for us when we make this ordinance to live by it. I guess here, 4 strikes and you're out. I mean, we have had complaints, we gotta do something.
But bottom line, if you have a dog, you're responsible for it. So, Krista, it's in your, sounds to me like it's in your park, so this just cannot happen again. Those people have grave concerns, and it's gone on for a long time, so it appears to me you're just gonna have to go above and beyond.
Okay. Okay.
Or your dogs need to go to the country and stay.
Okay.
That's probably where they're happier anyway.
Okay.
Is that good? Okay, we gotta move on. Got a lot of meeting to go here. Okay, so Stan and Rick, would you like to address your recommendation of
Is Dana, is he on now?
He is on. Dana, can you hear me?
Yep. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me back.
him to say anything first, or you guys want to address?
These guys are going to make a recommendation regarding the Kelly Avenue Gloria Street development that we've been working on.
So Mary and I and Rick and Dana and Carolyn met the other day. And this concern would be over on Kelly Avenue or yeah, Kelly Avenue. For the council. It's for everybody, but the map that we're talking about is like this. Portion that we probably were recommending that we do it in 3 phases. So phase 1 would be we built up to here. And that would allow, I believe, 4 homes, 4 to the north, up to 3 on the south, but that we had mapped. We don't know exactly how they can design them. City would go ahead and not pave it, but gravel it to 12-inch base, so it could be paved at a later time, and it would have water and install sewer. And we have people that are interested in putting homes there, the governor homes to start with. So we kind of come up with a memorandum of understanding similar to what we did with Echo Valley. And we do with Eric Hansen, and did they ever come up with a name that they are going to?
It's gonna be Erie.
It
Will be Erie.
Eric Hansen?
Oh, it'll be Eric Hansen.
Yeah.
So we, the city will front the cost. He'll donate. He currently owns that land where that road will be. He'll donate the land to the city. City will do the infrastructure, and then the city will in turn get 30% of the net cost, net sale of each lot to help defray our expenses.
Very similar to what we're doing in
Similar to
Echo Valley.
Be very similar to Echo Valley. And then it would be phase 2, I guess there's kind of 3 phases in this that it'll all be kind of designed together. Then there is some interest over turn and head south, and then it would eventually join up to Gloria and Golf Course Road. So then it would make an entire loop. And we have some interest in some sort of fourplexes or something on this side. Whether that happens or not, I don't know, but we would probably just continue with the same memorandum of understanding with Eric and continue to take 30% of what he sells lots for. And then phase 3 would be, this map don't really show it, but if you continue. Anyway, we have the issue with Stone Drive, the alleyways in the back. So as a part of that, Eric has agreed to kind of work with us, and that we would, the city would pay for all the expenses. There is an easement there, and then we would make it like an alley that would start very north end by the Steve Priest house and go all the way up around Mike's and end up coming out by probably
Glorious.
It would come out on Glorious.
Correct.
And that probably is not gonna happen right away, but the important thing is the phase 1 that we need to get moving on, because they have governor houses lined up, the people that they're working with. And we need to get them there, and they need to be set up soon. So we need to get working on it as quickly as we possibly can. And the cost estimate is 446,665. Is that right, Dana? Would that be the right one?
Yeah, that's what we estimate for Gloria and Kelly Ave. So that would include curb and gutter, extending the sanitary sewer main, and then 8 sanitary sewer services and 8 water services, and then a little bit of extending the water kind of at the intersections to get it out of the intersections for future connections and stuff like that. And then 12 inches of aggregate road base. And then with the thought that at some point, like 4 or 5 inches of that could be taken off and then paved sometime in the future. So based on what we know with prices today, we're thinking that's about 446 or roughly 450,000.
The initial portion that we would be going after so that we could set those houses down would be, wasn't that gonna be something over 100,000 or 140,000 of that 446, correct? That would get the gravel road in there and the sewer.
Yeah, that's about right. Where according to Trent, I think he has 2 lined up where we're thinking the easiest thing to do right away to build would just be extending Kelly Avenue to the east. That would generate a couple lots in there that he could use right away. And so we can kind of, do this in phases as they sell or as he gets the governor homes.
Then I guess as a street committee, we would just recommend, I don't know if we would be just understanding we're gonna move forward and try to get a bid to do that, or if we would make a motion, Caroline.
Well, I think part of that would be to approve the task order, which is basically moving forward.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yes,
Project.
okay, he has that, he just
Yes.
spaced it.
Well, there's, the task order, and maybe Dana, you could go through that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, so for us, the most efficient and efficient in time as well is to design everything at once, even though we could construct it and have it constructed in phases. So for us, our proposal is to design the Kelly Avenue portion, and then the Gloria Street portion, and then also the alley improvements as well, to put all that in one design. Also with that will be topo survey, which would be about 11 acres. We'd verify the property pins out there. And then once that's done, we can use that survey information to create a plat. And similar thinking that the plat would be those multiple lots plus the alley needs to be part of that plat. Put all that together so it's efficient design wise and cost savings to the city. So design, platting, bidding, and then we'd have just a little bit of construction admin. These aren't huge projects, so it's just a little bit of construction admin to track pay apps and questions and do some site visits. But our proposal to do that is 66,000. And in that earlier estimate, we use kind of the standard 10% engineering just for a budget. And that engineering was 60,000. Construction admin was another 30,000. So we're proposing under those numbers, under those budget numbers. So we're actually well under those with our 66,000 that we're proposing. So.
Is the alleyway going in right away, from north and south behind the stone?
No, that would probably be done
In the phases.
in the phase 3. That's probably even though it's important to get done, the most important is to get that first phase done so that we can sell those governor's houses.
So there'll be an alley running,
So the
East
alley
and
would
west
basically run
behind.
all the way up and then come out on.
make the left-hand turn and
Right now, there's a sewer easement on it. So it'd really be, ideally it'd be that same location. We'll have to kind of verify all that, but that's generally where that alley would go.
Yeah, there's a lot of design, a lot of work to be done, but since we're doing it in phases, the phase 1 is most important, and that's what we probably need to. So we probably have to approve the
Task order.
task order and to move forward with phase 1.
Yeah. Could I have a motion that would, or is there any other questions for
You got
Dana?
anything else to add that's done?
No, you covered every point that I had down.
Well, I'd make that motion then, that we move forward with the task order with KLJ and move forward with phase one. I don't know that we can move forward, we can't really approve. We don't know the price. Okay. So, but I guess we just say phase one, correct?
Is there a second? Okay, so Dan is seconded. Any, oh, Jared, question?
This movement that we're doing tonight is gonna guarantee that 2 houses are gonna be.
Right.
Should be a step in the right direction.
It will
We
be
have a
for those.
local contractor that's interested in doing that, that could probably do that portion. And, you know, they could do it quickly and just to get people to bid on a small project like this is a local person that probably has no interest. So.
Okay, any other questions? Good question.
It's not enough houses, that's all I can say. For now, it's just that.
That's terrible.
Any questions here? All right, so we have a motion and a second to move forward with phase one and to approve the task order. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen, for doing a great job on getting that organized. Okay, so that brings us to our next.
Thinking anything more?
Oh, Dana, did you have anything else?
I don't, thank you, and we'll get started as time is of the essence.
I'll get that task order signed and scanned over to you if that works.
Yep, that works. Thanks, Carolyn.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night. Safe travels back from Custer. Okay, so public comments. 11. What's on 11?
Fire trucks are plus.
Sorry. That's not 11 on my list, but we'll slide over here. Okay, thank you.
Carolyn slipped it in there.
It's always good when we have
I
people.
moved it up so that Jim wouldn't have. to
Yes,
sit for it.
exactly, because he's tired, and exhausted. So with that, Jim, would you, and I first of all want to express our deepest gratitude to you.
Yeah, I'm on a horse right now, so bear with me. We'd like to start the process of surplusing. We're gonna do one truck, you gotta think this will surplus them both, while we're doing it. So come November, December, we're not sitting there with 2 fire trucks, 3 fire trucks. So I was talking to Carolyn, I'd like to get the ball rolling on surplusing the tender and the engine at this time.
So then how many would you have left? Just that big
Enough.
one? You really? Okay, I'm just thinking like. You do.
And I've had people very interested in both of them. So,
But they did not leave town until your new truck got here, is that
oh,
correct?
they can leave anytime.
Would still be all right.
We got enough. No more, well, last night, the first night, I've been around for quite a while, that we've had everybody but 2 of our members show up. Quite amazing last night. And we could get by without them for a couple, 3 months.
And we never even went to use the engine, the old engine last night.
Okay, so what's the feelings here on the council? Is it okay for him to proceed on
Sounds good to
that?
me.
Yeah, that sounds like a good
I'll
idea.
get with Carolyn so we get the right serial numbers of the trucks and everything tomorrow.
I do have to have the motion though in the minutes to reflect that you approve surplus.
I moved to approve the surplus. in the fire.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve surplusing. Any further discussion?
If these trucks go to a different department or like a Hunter Rate colony or somebody, I guess I understand they could be just exchanged bought outright. We don't have to go to bid on them.
What do you think they're worth?
All we can get out of them.
Dumb question.
I'm guessing the $10,000 to $15,000 range. That's what I've done a lot of checking, that's what I've been told. There's a department up in the hills that's interested in the tender, and there's a department down by Yankton, Otter Lake Colony that's interested in the engine.
So, all right, we've had a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, did you?
Sorry, you caught me in the middle of a call.
Okay, all right, so it sounds like you can move ahead. And just an update, how many firefighters did we have in town last night? I heard. Do you have any thoughts on that?
At least 100, I think.
How many?
100 probably.
Yeah, probably 100 at least.
Well, I heard the county guys say 150
Yeah.
showed up in a pretty short time.
They were probably paying attention to the fire, not counting.
Well, I just thought.
I'm not
maybe-
sure where I was at last night.
So,
I'd like to thank Garrett for controlling the water supply, checking up on the water supply, and the deputies for the great job they done. I mean, it was a constant back and forth between me and Garrett to make sure we had the water to supply, to get going. I mean, it's a tragedy, but, you know, it could have been a lot worse.
it could have been.
Thankful for all the other departments that showed up.
Absolutely.
You see somebody from a Rapid Valley t-shirt on or a Whispering Pines t-shirt on, you know, thinking they were here.
Yeah.
No, and thanks for everything you guys do.
Is at some point, will we have a list of all the?
It's posted on the Pennington County Fire website.
Okay,
Every department out there.
okay, we need to thank them, so,
If you got any questions, get hold of me.
okay.
Not tonight, though.
Thank you very much. Okay, so then that brings us back over to, the public comments on the right list. Okay, so if anyone of our public would like to make some comments tonight, you would have 3 minutes to address the group. Do we have anyone that would like to speak? No.
Okay. How's y'all doing tonight? As most of you know, we had quite a tragedy last night. And again, I want to thank all the first responders. It could have been way worse than what it ended up being. I want to give my condolences to Jimmy. You know, it's tough to lose a business in town and one with such rich history. I think, you know, I had a lot of good times at the Cactus myself. So I do want to make that clear. I guess what I would like to, I know there can't be a decision on this at the moment, but I know that the city can get the resources to get the, you know, get it cleaned up. And I was hoping that the city could possibly take this one-time consideration and help clean that up. You know, it is quite a mess. Obviously, we're in a tourism town too, and I don't want to take the tragedy away from Jimmy here, but I think the quicker that we can get it cleaned up, the better for our community as well. I guess I was just hoping that the city could consider helping, you know, take care of that. And I know that the city has also tore down some houses, you know, in town and, you know, waived them fees. And as just a one-time thing, I would hope that the city would consider helping in this situation. So, because it was quite a tragedy. So that's all I got.
Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say, or Gary, do you have some thoughts?
No, I agree, you know, with Joe. I think we need to get it cleaned up. Probably our first priority on anything. Just get the streets back open.
I would think we would need Jimmy's permission before we could say.
Yeah, if I can come up for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Been having a hard time. Any help, much appreciated. Kind of in shock still. My family's in shock. We've been having a hard time for a while. So any help, I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm a little tired too, didn't sleep. Trying to control my emotions. Yeah, I say, you know, thank you to help, about lost a life. Very, you know, very stressful. Had friends up there. I'm 30 seconds from losing a man in the snow. And, you know, it's just, I was suffocating, calling this man. When the officer come help, I called him, he come, got him out, then come, you know. Just, I'm telling you, there was no time. I was working at the time. By the time they come, got me, I come out, there's smoke coming out, life's in danger. You know, it's nothing we can do. And we still don't know how it started. It didn't start in the bottom part, you know, it started in the upstairs part. Just, you know, just like to say, you know, I should appreciate it. You know, we don't doing the best we can with what we got. So.
Our community will back each other. Okay, any other comments?
I think that Garrett said we need to get on it. So we should get streets back to open up, get it cleaned up.
So far my plan tomorrow is to get
Do we have
the sidewalk open, streets open.
clear for?
Yep.
Everything's
We'll get
okay.
that fenced off and then work on, you know, the next portion. I think we should go above and beyond to do it, you know, if we need 2 excavators to get it going, 4 or 5 trucks. Let's just.
Does the fire marshal need to sign off before you begin?
Jim left, but we
No.
talked today. Oh,
Yeah, he's got to just get the okay. As far as I know, they were doing everything they needed to do today.
well, I'll double check
Yeah.
and make sure that it's okay, but I'm pretty sure when I met with Jim, you know, before we went home tonight, that he said it was okay to do what we needed to do just to get that open.
To clear the side.
Yeah.
So the sidewalk would be first.
Yep.
And then, but you'd be very careful going into what that is burned until it was totally safe, right?
Yep.
To move in there.
We need to put some kind of fence on the sidewalk here. Do you have something you could use just to keep the dirt?
Yeah, we can put snow fence in between there, but yeah, we can definitely do something.
So Carolyn, would we need a motion to
It's not on the agenda, but if you guys give your consensus.
move forward? I would say I think it just needs to get done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I should just do it.
I think we need to forge ahead with Jim's permission without hesitation to get that site cleaned up.
Then also, the curb stop doesn't work there, so there is water running, you know, from his meter underneath there, so we'll have to, you know, take care of that too. My plan there is maybe just to cut out a small portion and maybe pothole with like Todd's back, and then go down and just see what the issue is before we tear everything up. Because I could, if I can get the water out of there, I could go down and shut the valve off, but I don't know what condition the floor and everything is in the basement, so.
That's what
kind
I
of
mean by
this-
safe.
I would assume you probably have to hire some additional help other than just.
Yeah, I think just, we could cut it with our saw and then get Todd to, you know, he can just dig straight down.
As far as the,
Oh, as far as the cleanup, yeah, I don't know if anybody would, you know, like to work with me and come up with a plan.
Well, we have an
Aggressive
emergency
one, so.
services committee, these gentlemen here, and
Okay.
yes, coordinate with them, and they can let the rest of us know.
Okay.
But move, like Rick said, move ahead.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
So like I said, we'll sidewalk and street cleaned off tomorrow, fenced off, so it's okay to open that up, probably. And what happens tonight, I thought about starting early. 5, 6 o'clock, and that way we get quite a bit done without people around, so. So that'll be done by probably, hopefully tomorrow.
And And that's all okay with all the officials and everything, they just start cleaning up now?
Just from the sidewalk in the street. I'll double check on the rest of it. We'll haul all that off. The awning is pretty much all that's on the street.
And
Sidewalk.
imagine we're gonna waive dump fees, right?
Yeah.
Is there a consensus of everybody here? Total consensus. Okay, thank you, Garrett.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys, I really appreciate that.
You bet.
Would
Okay,
you, Kathy, say thank you too? Flying in soon.
okay. So moving ahead, is there any other comments tonight? Okay, so that brings us to building permits. Some of these we carried over from the last meeting. So starting with the Grant Hollow.
This is good. I went and looked at it. It's got both neighbors signed to put on the property line. It's
Okay.
behind the house, so there's nothing in the front.
You need to make motions on all this. I move to approve.
I have not met with Liver Farms yet, so.
Okay, so Grants you've met with, you're good?
Yep.
And Stan's making a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Jerry seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
The
So-
Badlands Metro, sorry.
so Jessica, you want to hold one more meeting?
Yeah, she was supposed to get a hold of me on her day off on Thursdays and Fridays, and I haven't heard from her.
Okay, understand. So that moves us to the Badlands vet.
Yep, and that's good. I went out and did some measuring and it's good.
Make that motion.
Okay.
Second it.
All right, Mike has moved, Jerry has seconded to approve the Badlands vet for additional panels. All those, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that takes care of that. All right. Okay, sign permit. And the banner permit for the rodeo club. The banner is for putting up banners during the rodeo. Is there any concerns or considerations for that?
I guess on like the rodeo club, since it's not really an advertisement, it's just basically more of a directional for the location.
Oh, I was gonna do the banner one.
Oh, you're gonna do
first,
the banner one, I'm sorry.
The banner one first, which just allows us, the rodeo club to put banners on the west and east ends of the boulevard. And they also put them usually over on Dustin Curtis near the Arrow, or not, near the Sleepy Hollow campground. So could I have a motion to approve the banner permit?
So move.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and then Carolyn, you were just saying about the rodeo directional sign.
Well, I wasn't even sure if we needed a permit, so to speak, for this, since it's really, just a directional sign, helping out like library directional signs to help people, locations and stuff, so I just wasn't sure how to handle this, if it really needed, but they did share an example of what that signage would look like, and Garrett has reviewed it. Right?
And it was brought to our attention, what's happening is people coming in either way on the South Boulevard, they miss that turnoff into the rodeo arena. And so they were thinking that if we put a sign up, that would help avoid people driving all the way, then having to do the whole loop and come back, because they missed that turnoff. It's called Rodeo Drive, there is a street sign there, but it's just something that gets missed, so,
Yeah, it's just your regular little streets.
right.
Sounds good.
Okay, so is that a motion?
Yes.
Stan made a motion. There's been a second by Jerry. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that's approved. Okay, so that brings us to Miss Pittman, Dr. Pittman, sorry. to give us a,
Actually,
oh, am I on the wrong list?
Okay, I'll sit back.
Back up, back up. Stop the train, I'm sorry, okay. 14, okay, now we're at the Grand Hall HVAC bid. Okay, and we advertised for this bid and it's for a sealed bid, so Carolyn.
we did receive 4 bids. or, yeah. Okay, the first one is from Ken's Refrigeration. And 2 American Standard 15-ton rooftop units with air conditioning and propane heat. Bid includes curb adapters, units, electrical cost, labor to install, and crane cost for a total of $59,667.24. We received one from 3B's Heating and Air Conditioning from Philip. It does say due to the unknown availability on the units and the current price. That word I struggle with. Velocity, whatever. It's only an estimate. No price guarantee, but it came in at $49,521.52. It says it does not include the crane work, electrical work, or any other unforeseen problems.
The other one, including electrical and crane.
Great, everything.
Yes. Well, we have one from Midwestern Mechanical. Out of Rapid City, I guess that is. 2 Dolphin 15-ton package rooftop units. Curb adapters, disconnect old for removal, install new wiring, conduit rated for 3-phase new unit. New units to have 100 amp disconnect with fuses built in. Not real sure that it says includes the crane installing, but yeah, it just says we propose to furnish labor and material to complete and the project plans. This bid is $89,325. This one is from Rasmussen out of Sturgis. 2 15-ton rooftops, curb adapters, crane service to remove existing and set new RTUs, all labor to complete install. $77,755 or $750.
So that's off the order.
That
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it looks like we,
Yes, I'd have to
Really
say
only
3Bs, an estimate, it's not a bid,
Didn't include the crane, so that's.
no crane.
Yeah, Ken's Refrigeration has a little bit and significantly lower than the 2 other actual bids.
Okay, so would I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion, we approve and accept the bid from Ken's Refrigeration for the 2 rooftop units, installation, crane and everything.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. So now, do we have an opportunity to do
Now it's
Dr. Tippett?
Thank you for having me. Jimmy, I'm sorry about the loss of your business, your family's business. I'm grateful that all the parents and students are safe from that event. That's a tough blow. I'd like to start out by letting you know that the Powerhouse will be open 4 to 9 to the community. We have somebody that is willing to step up and monitor the place 4 to 9, Monday through Thursday, each week through the summer, and then we'll continue to see how that works out later on. But we do have it open up to the community for the summer. We had 2 teachers that went to a cyber camp, and then we're looking at bringing in more STEM and technology education into our school this next year. Some of the things they were trained on were security. And this is, they took a picture off the internet and then they were able to go back and find it again. They were able to break through different things. So an educational opportunity for our students later on. They did a lot of soldering, wiring. This was Miss McLaughlin and Mrs. Trask. They worked on a lot with coding. We would also getting 3D printers from our Perkins funding. So we have some great opportunities coming for our kids in those areas. June 30th will be the closing of the fiscal year. That board meeting will be at 7 o'clock at the school. Coming up next board meeting, June 13th at 7 o'clock. We'll be doing the final approval for the school handbook, so they're ready for when we start school, or when students start coming and going and enrolling in our school. Couple items we have there that are probably of interest are the personal technology usage in the elementary. Their cell phone policies will look that of the 6 through 12. And also we have a senior privilege policy that we're working on right now too. So we didn't have the last board meeting recorded and posted, but it will be on June 13th. I don't know about June 30th, but I don't think it will be. It's just gonna be open up, pay bills and close. So other things coming up, I have my superintendent's conference in July, and Carolyn is going to represent the school district at the FLISA conference the end of this week in Portland, Oregon. So we're cleaning, we're waxing, we're fixing, we're mowing, just getting ready for the year. So it's been nice weather to work with. Nice to have moisture. So any questions?
Don't you have football field bids coming up?
Oh, yeah, there's your football field bids in. And I have an ag teacher too, so. I still got a few staff positions to fill, but I'm working on it. They're smaller, but we'll get there. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a
Okay,
good
good job.
evening.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us now to our resolution about our dog policy. Okay, do we have any thoughts now? Different than what?
Well, I would say that I thought Stephanie's comment on how you worded that, what word you used to, after so many times, time frame that, 3 times after that, then you're out after starting.
Having the cumulative number in a year or,
Right.
and we could also revisit the amount of time before someone gets to start over. If in context, the current setting seems a little too lenient. We could tighten that up a little bit and then cap the cumulative number in a year.
So what is the time frame to start over? 3 months?
Currently, Carolyn, it's 3 months, right?
Does it say that in there?
Meaning you could have 3 complaints and then you could, you don't have it for 3 months to start.
If you could have a complaint and then if you didn't have one for 3 months, you would start back at 1 again.
Guess I don't know that it's actually, I think it just is in there that you can't file a second complaint within a time frame. But I don't know about the start over time, if that's included, I guess.
Says considered a second complaint after filed after 21 days.
Oh,
Well, that's-
21 days, okay.
Yeah, before 7 or after 21.
That's 3 weeks.
So actually there, that says after 3 weeks, that's back to a first complaint again.
Yeah.
That seems like we ought to adjust that a little bit, because it seemed like we're getting all the complaints.
Right, I would agree.
What would you like to adjust it to?
That's a good question.
Mary, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So if it's the same animals, the same people, the same behaviors with the animals going on, I don't see why there should be a time limit on it. Because in our neighborhood, every one of us are dealing with those dogs. And the fine says $100, but there's 2 dogs. Does that mean there's $200? And the other thing in the ordinance, it says, dangerous habits. And having those dogs run over to other neighbors' house, and they've even barked at me, and I'm kitty corner across the street from them. And I'm like, Daryl, I'm afraid of dogs. And when those dogs come running toward me and I'm on my lawn, that shouldn't be allowed to continue going on. And it sounds like this resolution is soft pedaling the ordinance. Why are we doing that?
I even had the dog in my garage. When I came out my door, the dog was in my garage. This is previous, it was already handled off our incidents, but I didn't know if that got recorded. So when I stepped out and saw a dog, I put the boot to the dog, because I don't like dogs, especially where I'm in close quarters with a dog. You know,
There's an older gentleman that walks by also, and that dog, those dogs have come out and.
I've seen him run up to the
come out
guys.
and, Yeah.
And it's on camera too.
Not good.
And I would say it's soft pedaling, that we're actually looking for more clarity in how to enforce it. Because it's kind of on Carolyn, does she send a letter or not? Does she need council involvement or not? So what the council is trying to do is actually add more clarity for how to deal with these complaints from it.
But when you're saying stacking, and what, if I understand what you're saying, that there's a time limit, why? Because if it's the same dogs doing the same thing over and over and over, it shouldn't matter if it's 2 weeks or 6 months later. There should be enforcement there, period.
Agreed, but there's also a situation that sometimes neighbors start to do it, call in complaints, knowing that if they, I'm not saying you guys did that, but knowing that if they call in again, it's $100 immediately. So it's just to try and find a nice balance of.
But if you have proof of dogs in your yard, period, there's no calling in at a will. It's right there. A picture is worth 1,000 words. So along with here that, how are you gonna keep going? No, whatever, 3 months, it starts over, there, you're doing it again, another 3 complaints. I mean, come up with something.
And not just this, not just these dogs, but if you have a bigger dog. The dog went back that knocked the older lady down. So if somebody else gets knocked down, they can't file a complaint until 3 years later.
So does the council have a suggestion that they want to change those days to that? Because I think they're indicating there's a legitimate issue here.
Well, I kind of agree. I think but we have to be kind of touchy how we do it. At some point, we can't keep going back or it goes on forever.
Do we have the right to get rid of a dog that's just constantly off its leash? Do we have the right to kill that dog?
That I need to, if all it did was run at large, but it didn't menace anyone, I'm not positive. I need to look at that.
See, from the research I did, when that happens, basically the pet owner loses rights to have custody of that pet. It goes to the shelter. The shelter then works with them if they want to rehome it and move it, but it's no longer allowed in the city limits where the violation took place.
That's correct. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, I don't think we have the authority if all it did was run at large to necessarily kill it.
But I don't think our ordinance, does our ordinance state we would kill it? I think it's just saying that we will allow it not to be in the city limits.
Yes.
I just read the city ordinance and it says law enforcement has the authority to take that animal and dispose of that animal.
If it's aggressive. Yeah, if it's aggressive.
And also in that says vicious and dangerous habits.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to just attack somebody.
Dispose, though, I don't consider dispose meaning kill it. I mean, dispose of it out of the city limits.
Well, I think if you guys come to a resolution that after somebody strikes, dogs is gone. So, because this is a continuing problem. And if you don't, it's going to continue on, you know, say next person, not necessarily the party involved, maybe somebody else.
It's a complicated issue, and I would like to say that give them 3 days a week to find a new home for it before we.
And we've done that in the past.
It is we need to do something, guys. We're not saying we're not, we're just trying to do it the right way.
I'm not gonna pick up a side either way on this thing, but we had our dog got picked up at the end of her driveway. We all live off 101. Law enforcement, you seen the dog running, it was our dog, our land, for the pound is still $179 fee. It wasn't their fault, really just our land, our cow dog, but that's how it's handled. And I get it, city versus country, but it's just something to think about. I pay the bill, get a chip, they get 2 warnings, then if they go back to pounding, they euthanize them. So just something to.
Carrie, what was the fee?
$175 to get my dog out, and I had to prove that it was my dog, and she had just had a litter pups, thank goodness, and my little girl had to go away and recognize her, she had to go to my liver. That scared me to death being in a pound, but that's what it was, and the cops, they thankfully had posted a picture, and the wife reached out to me, she's like, oh, this is your exit, like, it happens, totally, we'll do what we have to, I'll take responsibility for my dog. It was resolved. It's just something to think about, because it's 2 warnings and they euthanize.
I'd say you hit them with a fine, you hit them with another bigger fine.
The 100, the 500.
Oh, there is a 500, or, you know, hit them with one, hit them with another one. You know, I mean, money talks, you guys know how that works, that people don't like that. Maybe do that and then try it, you know.
And I agree, it seemed like, because the time limit thing is kind
And
of,
that'll motivate you too to get it out of town, if you're paying them fines, you know.
yeah, because if you have the $100.
Maybe you fine them every time. That's a motivator.
But
Each animal.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, that's the way you do it, is you do it each time, and then, I mean, you start racking up fines, your dog's out loose.
Well,
Wow.
or what about trespassing? Because it's no different than a human trespassing on somebody else's property. If you don't got permission, how many times until you get away with trespassing, you know? I mean,
Well, Carolyn, don't they get a warning first?
The first time warning.
When does the $100 fine come out?
At the second, which is the same way with human trespassing, they're entitled to a warning.
And then the
Before they get-
$500 fine? Is there a $500 fine?
No, not currently. it's just $100 the second time, third time impoundment. And then it would be the procedure that Carrie laid out.
So 100 the first time.
And then impoundment.
Let's make another monetary fine and come up with a number. Like 100, 250 impoundment. So that'd be warning, 100, 250 impoundment. I think, you know, because if you're gonna let your dog run loose all the time and it's, you know, it's gotta go someplace, and they get the 250 fine, they know the next step, it's going to be impounded, so they should get it out of town or do something.
Plus, I think we should tighten it up or eliminate it, that if it goes 3 months and there's no complaint, that they don't get to start over.
Yeah, I don't think there should be a reset.
I would, reading this, I don't see why if we impound an animal that it's in our city garage for 3 days, Garrett or somebody, it just, if we're gonna impound it, send it to the Humane Society. Don't put it in our city garage for 3 days either.
Is that in the ordinance?
Yes,
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
not humane.
And the Humane
Yeah.
Society is 48 hours and your animal's up for adoption.
Yep.
Because Garrett's gotta spend 3 days now babysitting a dog.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, that's
Good point.
nonsense.
And plus, if we make it a little tougher, for people with the dog, you better take care of it. Or
So all of those changes would require a full change to the ordinance. So just so you're aware. So I mean, that would be another thing to have, if you want Stephanie to work on or whatever. I guess that's up to you guys.
Stephanie, are you up for the task?
I am up for the task.
Awesome.
Okay, that's what we're gonna let happen then. We will not act on this, we'll revise it
But
with
then
the
I
suggestions that we're
I
saying.
think so that it's ready at the next, that everybody sees it prior to the meeting, so we can act on it at that meeting and not go on to the next meeting.
So are you hoping to have it on for the July 5th meeting
Yes.
Be nice.
Yeah.
for first reading?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there any legal actions to take if it's on your property and you shoot it? I mean,
You can't shoot a gun in town.
If it's aggressive.
I'm saying if it's on your property and it's like barking and attacking your dog, you can't shoot it?
I get it. I'm just saying.
I know, I understand, I don't
You
know,
might go
but
to jail then.
I understand, but I'm just saying, you know, it's like trespassing on your property and it's growling or whatever. It's like no different, yeah, like you just said, it's like breaking on into your house. You're gonna say, well, oh, whoa, one moment here. You can do whatever you want. I mean, eventually, you know, there will be that situation. Somebody's gonna snap, the dog's attacking you, and you happen to be carrying. Under Pennington County, you're allowed to do that.
I think if it's a self-defense situation.
I mean, but how do you
But don't
determine
they-
that though? I mean, you know what I mean? Somebody's had enough of it. They just, well, all I say, oh, yeah, it was self-defense. There's no proof.
Usually it would be called law enforcement, but I mean, I think anyone could probably understand if it was attacking a child.
But I'm just saying, it might come to that because of situations like this.
I think that's what we heard tonight too, so.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, that's what it is. It's on trespassing.
I think the guys getting trespassed on that at least feel a little more satisfaction, feel like it's.
Well, because if nothing gets done, then somebody just takes care of it themselves.
Okay, so we'll add these suggestions, send them to staff, she'll organize them and get them back to us. Okay, do we need anything further on that then, Carolyn? Okay,
Sorry, I have one.
okay, here you go, Jerry.
We're starting this new dog ordinance, but we're not gonna start at ground zero with the last complainer, are we? I mean, we've had 3 complaints. I don't think we should start over there.
No,
We can't.
no. Is that agreed by everyone?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so that brings us to golf courts, carts.
Golf cart ordinance. Can come to.
Okay, we had some input put there from,
Well, there was interest on possibly doing an ordinance. I kind of took samples from another town. And then at the last meeting, which I wasn't at, it was indicated to have Stephanie start maybe reviewing that and check with law enforcement. And I did check with Randy, Sergeant Harkins, and I included a letter in your packet of what his feeling was for it. So based on what that was, I felt you needed to make a decision if you want Stephanie to even continue.
You know, I was at the law enforcement meeting and the police officers and we had Willie Welcho, which is a he's a chief deputy, it's Sergeant Randy Harkins, and they said golf carts are not legal to drive on public roads. And they're, you know, they're for golf courses and we should not head in that direction.
You'd end up having young kids that can't even get a car license yet. We already have people speeding down Glen Street, and if they ran into it, plus the police would have to enforce it on South Boulevard. Getting out to the golf course, they'd have to enforce it. North Creighton Road, they'd have to pick them up. So I mean, I think it would be just better off to not do it too.
I think we should listen to the experts.
Yeah, that was their recommendation, to not do it. Yes.
okay, is it a consensus to drop the golf cart idea? Okay, do we need to vote on that, Carolyn, or are we okay? Okay. That's off our page then. Okay, very good. So now, Mike, would you, and those that did attend, I think that was Jerry and Rick, talk to us about what you learned at the deputy meeting.
Sure. So, like Rick said, Willie Welcho, Randy Harkins, some of the items that we covered were Carrie, forget her last name.
Cordell.
Okay. She's Smith, I believe. She's taken position up at the school the 21st of August, I think. Yeah, so Randy had indicated that her position, they've already hired for her position another female officer who's already certified. And she'll be able to slide right into that spot. So we'll be back at 4 deputies. Still some concern about housing with some of the deputies. I know they visited a little bit with Carolyn and just kind of spreading the word that that's still a struggle that we're having, but with the housing stuff, we're moving forward to the best of our ability. Let's see here, rally, some of the upcoming events, rally, the wall crawl, some of those bigger events. Randy said that all of the deputies, what's that?
Celebration.
That all of the deputies, I think with the exception of one, are familiar with the area. They've been down here before. They're trying to get back to that where it's familiar faces, people who already come down here and work. One reserve deputy, he was working on the schedule, didn't see any concerns with that. We filled them in on the wall crawl dates, celebration, rally. So we're doing pretty good. We are up to full staff with 4. Let's see here, and then the golf cart issue. And I think that was about it, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Their budget.
Yeah, most important part. Willie Welcho did advise us that there is going to be an increase in the contract, and that was it
8%, $14,000.
Yeah, and so he just kind of wanted to make us aware of that, which seems pretty pretty standard to the cost of everything. The price of fuel obviously is big to them, things of that nature. Also, the patrolling north of town, they did tell us, that there isn't, speed traps or anything like that. It is a county road, it is part of Bennington County, and they are patrolling it. Because there was some citizen concerns that they were being set up and hiding behind bushes, things of that nature. But he assured us that is not what's going on. And the best that we can tell the public is obey the speed limits and the laws of the roadways. Other than that, I don't think there was anything else.
They do 60/40, they are still paying the county sheriffs. One note that they was called out and have their radar guns on when they're called out too. So if you're going by 70, 80 miles an hour, they do pick you up. And he says, I'll give a warning once, but when I pick up the same woman twice, it's a ticket. No names, nothing like that. He just
So that 8% would be for next year's budget that we'd have to consider.
Correct. He just kind of wanted us to be advised of that when we do our budget to, kind of prepare for that 8% increase. That's kind of what we're looking at.
He said usually it's roughly 3 or 4%, so it's just the way the economy is.
Absolutely.
As they've said before, they're struggling keeping people hired too, they just have big turnover all the time.
Okay. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for attending that meeting and listening with them and kind of informing us too, by all means. Okay, so now the mayor's report. When I built this agenda this time for emergency concern, I actually was thinking about all the wind damage that our rural neighbors had to the north, where some of them just got totally wiped out. And our neighbors, the Phillip area and the Kadoka area. And so that was my concern when I put this on here, that we needed to make sure we touch base with all our businesses, all our motels, make sure that we had places for people to go in cases of tornado. How little did I know that we have, as Garrett said, when these things happen, you just kind of have to take what you've got and deal with it. And thank goodness the fire department did have a plan that worked, and they executed that precisely. So with that in mind, we will still continue to talk about what our wind or tornado plan would be, and understand what the Red Cross trailer is that sits up there. Garrett, what did you say is in that?
I think there's just like blankets and cots, toiletries. And there's some like MREs, ready to eat meals.
Okay.
So it's up there and available. And we also do have, we have blankets, cots and pillows here.
So the things that, and Kelsey helped me out here, the things that happen here at the community center, that's mostly for winter storms. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we want people in this building if tornadoes.
For a tornado. Exactly.
I think didn't we take all that stuff out of here? I got the Red Cross trailer.
Is it all? I was not last
No,
night.
there's
Oh.
still 4 coats upstairs.
Well, there's
I guess
four.
as far as what the emergency plan is, I've never been.
I was part of the one meeting that we did have. I think maybe Rick, you were present with Marty, with Dustin Willett. And there is a binder, Mary, with some of that information in there, but when there was the really bad wind and such, I believe it was the churches with tornadoes and super high winds, which you deputies, do you have that contact information or keys for the churches at all?
They haven't given it to me. I thought that went away, that the churches aren't cooperating there.
Rick is correct. The ambulance crew asked Marty, Mayor Marty at the time,
And he said the church's insurance was not allowed.
Okay, so obviously this is an area that does need to be researched a little bit more, and we'll continue to look at that then and try to figure out,
But Dustin would be a
And-
really good one to contact.
He's actually, I've received emails from his secretary or whoever she might be, assistant, and setting up a time frame. And he's scheduled to come to the August 4th. That was the soonest we could get worked out.
So it might be worth our while then for that committee maybe to meet. Carolyn, if you want to respond back, maybe if we could meet at like 5 o'clock prior to the meeting. And that way, we kind of have everything in order for the conversation of that council meeting.
okay,
And do you want to try and see if Dustin can come down ahead of time for that too?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, if he wants to maybe set something up ahead of time, I would be willing to do that as well. Then we probably wouldn't need the 5 o'clock on the 4th.
and we might even find that binder too that we're talking about.
I know Dustin has a copy of that too, so we'll just remind him to bring that with him because it will need to be updated.
Okay. So moving on from that then, the industrial park update, they've been moving quite quickly to the south. They've done across the front of the Efree Church, got that leveled all back out. And their next direction will be going to the north now. And I'm just pleased with how well they are moving ahead. And Garrett, did you help them out on the T-ball fence?
I talked to him, I
Yeah.
talked to Dean about it, so yeah, they're gonna get that.
So that's gonna be fixed up. And this, any questions on that? Did I hear somebody say, okay, senior living update. There was a meeting scheduled by Thursday, but a consultant is gonna have to push that out. So we just heard that today, that's postponed. We are also working on Echo Valley funding, and that application is in progress right now as we speak. And the pool lessons started. We've had very positive feedback from the pool. We did have a little issue with not the contact info being available when we needed to cancel lessons the other day, but we got that put back together and it's fixed now. So, but the compliments we've been getting is how nice the pool looks. Thank you, Public Works. And how good the lifeguards are doing and working, so, and keeping it clean. So that's the main thing there. So those were my points that I wanted to cover this evening. Does anyone have any questions on any of that? Okay, so Carolyn, will you talk to us about the elected officials training?
Well, that's July 13th, and I didn't hear from anybody if you planned on going. It's an online payment, so, and sign up. So I would still include it on the bill list for tonight's meeting if anyone planned on attending. I just need to get you registered is the only thing. It's an all-day meeting in Pierre. Okay. Get that in, add it to tonight's bill list then. And then I just, kind of a last minute thing, and I just put it on here so I would remember, I did have a gentleman stop in the office today, and he did pass out some of his business cards, and I said I would just talk about it so that the information could get included in the minutes. They are a fire cleanup crew. He said, you know, there might be businesses that will find out that they've got smoke and all that in their ventilation system, and they come in and help out with that. And so if anybody does have that issue and they want someone to help them out with that, I have his cards in my office, so. Just wanted to comment that.
Very pertinent right now. Okay, anything else? Garrett?
I don't have much. We received the wood chips for the playground equipment, so it's back up to So,
Had several comments on how great the park looks. I'll pass that on to you. Good, thank you. I appreciate you guys taking care of that.
and I did borrow the tiller from Todd. I tilled the volleyball court, so I'm looking to see if we have a net, maybe get that back up. I know all the girls are into that, might use that more, so.
Okay.
They got that done. They got the chip seal done on the streets, look pretty good. Till the other day when it was 110 degrees out, there's oil running everywhere, but. And then they did get the old tennis court up at the park. Resurfaced, not resurfaced, but sealed up there too.
Exactly.
And that's about all I have. Hopefully the mowers come in soon. I don't know. I know we're keeping up. I've been noticing some mosquitoes. I had to repair the fogger and it reset a bunch of stuff, so it's not working, but I've been baiting them. You know, we put pellets out. It's supposed to kill the larvae, so I don't know. I don't know if anybody else has seen.
Has anyone seen
Just a-
mosquitoes yet?
I've seen a few.
I've seen
but-
one.
Okay, so I mean, it's probably bad, so. So yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, well, you've been doing a great job, you and your department, so thank you for all your work and what you've got ahead of you all, so we appreciate that. Okay, is there any items for discussion and no action can be taken, but does anyone have any of that?
Like to get on the agenda for next month, next meeting, the library would like a sign permit. So that they want to get rid of some books and they're having the arts deal in the community center. They'd like to put a sign up. It's not on the agenda, but would like it on
For next meeting,
next meeting.
okay. Fine.
So the sign, I'm sorry, the sign would be where? Or-
Out here by the door, I believe, in my right, Linda.
Yeah, I'd be out on the sidewalk, because we're gonna be using the big room for the artist and book distribution.
Okay, anything else? All right, our next meeting is going to be July 5th, and that's a Tuesday. That will be after Adam Polk concert, after the fireworks. And then it will be PRCA Rodeo Week, so all you guys are gonna dress Western that night, right? Bandanas, yeah, okay, because we gotta be in the mood, because that's Tuesday, and then the rodeo starts Thursday celebration. We'll be setting up their tent on Thursday, is that correct, Kelsey, or? Is that Thursday they set up, or Wednesday? Or you don't remember?
That's usually Thursday.
Thursday?
Wednesday seems right.
Okay,
Do we
so
have to
that,
have- Do we have to have a cowboy hat too?
I would love to see you in a couple, I would too. Okay, with that, would you make a motion for-
I'm gonna make a motion, we go into executive session for the purpose of discussing legal personnel issues according to STCL 1-25-2.
Does anyone need a break? Thank you very much for the discussion and the conversation tonight. It's great to see people. Oh, if you have to vote executive session. Okay,
I second.
you made a motion, right? That's the
Dan
second.
seconded.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good catch, Zach. Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
I can't see this.
Sorry, guys.